Today I've got not one camera but two of them. The one that's filming me right now is completely rigged out. It's got two additional handles, manual focus ring, an SSD holder, a V-mount plate, a V-mount battery. And this camera is completely bare bones. The only thing that it's got is this mounting plate. Why would you choose to rig out one camera but leave the other bare bones? We're going to talk about that. So the reason number one why you would want to rig out your camera is for protection. This Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro, it is still a very long name, but it's built like it feels like it's built out of plastic, and I do not really care what Blackmagic says, like it's built out of carbon fiber or the most durable material in the world. If it feels like plastic, I'm going to protect it like plastic. So putting a cage on top of your camera is really good for protection, and it's reason number one why you would want to rig out your camera. No, it is not going to protect your camera from the fall damage, but it's going to protect your camera from scratches and minor hits. And it's not a good idea to bump your expensive camera around. And on sets, everything might happen. So putting a cage on your camera is good for protection. Now the reason number two, I almost said number one. Number two, why I would want to put a cage on your camera is for additional mounting points. As you can see, a standard camera has got only a cold shoe up here and a screw hole down here to put a mounting plate, and this for something like a monitor or a separate microphone, and that's it. You cannot put a handle somewhere up here, up here, up here. You cannot put a handle. You cannot put an SSD. If your camera uses like Blackmagic, it can write video on an SSD. You cannot put anything in here. Also, manual focus. If you want to control your focus, not like in this way or in autofocus, but you want to control it manually through the manual focus ring, you cannot put it in here. So you need to rig out your camera to do that. Once you put a cage on a camera, it is completely covered in those screw holes where you can mount whatever you want. Additional handles, focus ring, V-mount battery. But for a V-mount battery, you are gonna need to put an additional plate and a couple of rails or like tubes. That's totally different story. But for an SSD, for like handles, for anything you really want, like separate monitor, you're gonna need to put a cage on your camera. So this is reason number two. Now, reason number three, it is weight for stability. It sounds strange, but the heavier your camera is, the more stable it is going to be during the shoot. If your camera is really light, and this is not the one that is really light, but if your camera is really light, when you're holding it like this and trying to get a stable shot, it is going to be very difficult, because micro jitter that is coming from your hands is going to ruin everything, because this camera has got, well, this has got a little bit of the weight, but the standard DSLRs that you buy, they are not this heavy. So every micro jitter is going to go through the camera into the footage that you're filming. Once you've added a little bit of weight, and those rigs, those cages and additional handles, they are typically metal. So they are adding a little bit of weight and adding stability to your footage. Also, you typically want to put an additional on-top handle, and holding a camera like this adds a little bit of stability too. By the way, I haven't mentioned that, but if you are a professional and for some reason you stumbled upon this video, there is no point for you in continue watching this, because every professional camera on every professional shoot is going to be rigged out. Why? The reason number one is because a professional camera is going to come to you like a freaking just box, freaking cube. It's a cube that has got no monitor, no battery, no lens, nothing. It is just a cube. Of course, you cannot operate a cube without a lens, without battery, so you buy additional lens, battery, maybe something else, maybe a monitor to view what you're doing, but you already need to rig everything out in order for you to use it in field. So this is really not a question when we are talking about professional cameras. I'm talking today about consumer-grade cameras that can be really small, that can be, well, a little bit larger. Do you need to rig them out? So we're talking about that. Bear in mind. So reason number 2, my iPad has decided to sleep. Manual focus. If you're filming like narrative style movies, if you're filming documentaries, if you're filming something that is serious and may go to a film festival, or that is really important, it's going to go to a client for a pretty hefty amount of money, you're gonna need to use manual focus, because autofocus doesn't really know what you want, doesn't know how to read your mind, doesn't know where to focus. It's going to grab a face. It is convenient to use autofocus in an interview environment or when you're following a single person, because if you're following a couple of persons, couple of people, it is going to decide which face it is going to grab. Probably the one that is closer to you. And you do not really want that. You need to control your focus throughout your whole shoot. So if you're serious about filmmaking, you need to use manual focus. And to use manual focus like this is, well, it is not convenient at all. It is not going to be precise, it is not going to be good, it is going to be shaky, because you need to hold your camera and at the same time adjust your focus like this. It's going to be a minor disaster. So you're gonna need separate focus wheel. It is day and night the difference between like using it like this or like using it with a manual focus ring. So, and for that you need to rig out your camera. Now let's talk about separate monitors. Blackmagic has got a really decent, a really great monitor, which is very bright and actually large, but it is located, of course, on the camera itself. And when you're filming, it is actually easier and more practical to use the monitor that is going to sit on top of your camera. And in my case, I mounted a V-mount plate at the back of the camera and also a V-mount battery, which is obstructing the view of this monitor. Of course, this is my fault. I could have rigged it horizontally and continue using this monitor, but I prefer to use an on-top monitor, the monitor that is going to be on top of your camera. And in this case, in case of Blackmagic, it has got decent monitor, but if you got something like this, to pull focus, to pull accurate focus, or to see what the hell you're filming in a monitor, even like this one, this is considered to be pretty large on a DSLR. This is going to be extremely difficult, and you've come to find that your footage is unreliable, your focus is going to miss every other time, and it is not something you could afford on a professional shoot. So we're gonna need a separate monitor and you're gonna need to put it somewhere. Of course you can put it in here, yeah, that's an option, but you would typically want to put a separate like microphone, or to be able to put like a handle, additional handle, and for that you need to rig out your camera again. In my opinion, if you decided to put an additional monitor on top of your camera, you're gonna need to put a cage on it. The reason number 5, it is a V-mount battery. This camera has got a very large battery that is going to last like a couple of hours, maybe 2.5, but definitely not more. Blackmagic has got a battery that is much smaller, and Blackmagic drains a lot of power, more power than this, because it is able to shoot in RAW, in 6K and all of that. It doesn't really matter, but it's going to drain a battery within an hour. And something that is under an hour or even 2 hours in a professional shoot, it is not acceptable. So you're gonna need to put a V-mount battery on your camera. And to do that, again, you need to rig out your camera. So V-mount battery would allow you to use your camera for 4-6 hours. You do not really want to care about power. You do not really want to care about switching batteries during the shoot. It is not something that you want to think about. You want to think about composition, you want to think about actors, you want to think about the next scene and how to do that. You do not want to think about battery. Because it is extremely annoying when you are very close to draining the battery and you've got like a take number 15 of the same scene, and you do not really want to pull the actor out of the scene and to say, just a moment, I'm going to switch the battery. Because you're gonna do this a lot if you do not want to put a V-mount battery on your camera. And to do that a lot, and to do those breaks, you're losing your precious time on a shoot. And as you remember, the location, the actors, and basically the time that you spend in there is expensive. So you're gonna need to put a V-mount battery. And there is actually no way you can put a battery on a camera without rigging it, okay? So those are the reasons why you would want to rig out your camera. But what are the reasons why you would choose not to do that? And there are actually some reasons. I did not really write them down, but there are some reasons why you would choose to leave your camera bare bones. First of all, if you do stills photography, if you do just photography, there is no reason for you to rig out your camera. There is not a single one, not a single reason why you would choose to rig out your camera for stills. Also, if you're a vlogger and you need a very compact camera, a very small camera, you need to carry it around with you, and you rely on your autofocus because you're gonna use it alone, you're gonna point it at yourself, you're gonna point it at something that you're interested in, that you see, and you do not really care about your autofocus going back and forth or screwing up your shot. You do not really need to rig out your camera. You do not. So if you doing like wedding photography, wedding videography, you probably do not really need to rig out the camera. But if you do something that is close to professional, narrative style films, documentary or something like that for a client, something really serious, you unfortunately need to do that. You need to master how to use manual focus. You need to master how to use manual focus. You need to be able to have this camera without changing the battery every couple of hours. You need all of that. So I hope this was helpful. And rigging out a camera, it is not a simple task because every videographer, every person that is using the camera is going to choose how to rig your camera differently. Because some person needs an additional handle, someone needs 2 additional handles, someone needs V-mount battery line horizontally, someone needs it vertically, someone needs something different. So that's why everyone's rig is completely different. And that's the beauty of it. You can construct it the way you want, the most comfortable way for you, the most convenient way, and use it this way. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and goodbye.